Okay, so this is a key to topic 21, part C, worksheet 2, and this is the worksheet right here. So number one, you want to determine the vertex of each using the vertex formula. And so you have three quadratic functions here, and it says no work is needed, but do not use any decimals. And then in the second one, you want to find the vertex as well, except these are written in vertex form, and these in number one are written in general form. So let's go ahead and talk about one and two first. All right, so in number one, remember you want to use the vertex formula. So the vertex formula, remember, is this. So um, you have the x coordinate being negative b divided by 2a. And then if you're talking about function f, then the y coordinate, whatever the x coordinate is, you substitute that into the function in place of x, and you'll get the y coordinate. So the y coordinate will be f of negative b divided by 2a. All right, so if you look at letter A, you have f of x is equal to 2x squared minus 8x minus 2. And you want to find the vertex. All right, so the x coordinate will equal negative b divided by 2a. So remember, in this case, a is 2 and b is negative 8. All right, so a is 2 and b is negative 8. So we get the x coordinate be negative b divided by 2a. And so negative b, you can also read as the opposite of b. So if b is negative 8, the opposite of a negative 8 is a positive 8. And then we get 2 times a, which is 2. So you get 8 divided by 4, which is 2. So that is the x coordinate of your vertex. The y coordinate, to find the y coordinate, remember you're going to substitute that value back into your function. So that's where you find f of, in this case, since it's f, you're going to find f of 2. So it will be f of 2. So you get 2 times 2 squared minus 8 times 2 minus 2. And so 2 squared is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Negative 8 minus 2 is a negative 16, and then minus 2. So this becomes a negative 8. 8 and a negative 16 is a negative 8. And a negative 8 and a negative 2 is a negative 10. So your vertex is 2, negative 10. 2, negative 10. So that's the answer for part A. So for part A, you have 2, negative 10. All right, part B, our function this time is this. It's g of x is equal to negative 3x squared plus 24x plus 8. All right, and so again, you want to use the vertex formula. So we're going to need to know a, which is negative 3, and b, which is a positive 24. So remember, a is the coefficient of x squared, and b is the coefficient of x. And so the x coordinate of the vertex will equal negative b divided by 2a. And so this says the opposite of b, so b is 24. The opposite of 24 is a negative 24. Divided by 2 times a is negative 3. So I get negative 24 divided by, and then 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, and you get a positive 4. And so to find the y coordinate, you're going to substitute that in place of x. So we're going to find g of 4, since my function is g. And so you're going to say negative 3 times 4 squared plus 24 times 4 plus 8. And so 4 squared is 16, right? And then 16 times a negative 3 is a negative 48. And then 24 times 4 is a positive 96, and then plus 8. All right, and so adding those numbers, negative 48 and a negative, negative 48 and a positive 96 will give us a positive 48, right? So 48 plus 8 will give us, what's that, 56? All right, so my vertex will be 4, 56. So the x coordinate is 4 and the y coordinate is 56. All right? And then we do C. So letter C of number 1 is this. So in C, we have h of x is equal to negative x squared plus 6x. All right, so All right. So a is, remember, the coefficient of x squared. So a is -1. That's important to have seen. And b is 6. So the x coordinate is equal to -b divided by 2a. So so if b is 6, the opposite of 6 is a -6, and 2 times a, which is -1. So I get -6 divided by -2, which is a +3. And so the y coordinate then will be h of 3. H of 3. So where we see the variable x, you're going to substitute 3. Now be careful with this little part here. So remember, this says you're going to square x first, and then you're going to take the opposite of that. So that really becomes this right here. Okay? And then plus 6 times 3. Well, 3 squared is 9, so this becomes a -9. The opposite of 9 is a -9. And then plus 18, which gives us a +9. And so therefore the vertex will equal 3, 9. Okay? All right. And then, okay, so let's go ahead and write down the answers for those. So for number 2, we have 456. And then for number 3, or letter C rather, we have 3, 9. Now, in number 2, you're given that these are in vertex form, and you want to find the vertex. So remember that vertex form is this. It's y equal a times x minus h squared plus k. But remember, so your vertex would be hk. So h is this part right here. So you see, it doesn't say negative h; it says h. And then k is this. So that's your k, and that's your x coordinate, your vertex. Okay. So when rewriting, if you look at letter A, you have g of x is 5 times x plus 3 squared minus 2. Many students mess this up and say the vertex is 3, -2. But remember, if you think about when you talked about transformations, so remember, you take x squared and you shift it to the left. Remember that? To the left 3 units. So the vertex, when you shift it to the left, that becomes -3, -2. All right, so you got to be careful. So think about those transformations that you talked about in a previous lesson. But if you want to, you can also rewrite it in that form. So to make it look like this, you would say, well, that's going to be g of x will equal 5 times x minus a -3 squared plus a -2, right? And so there is your h, and there's your k. So my vertex is -3, -2. Kind of makes sense, because when you talked about transformations, this says I would take the parent function x squared and shift it to the left 3 units, so hence the -3, and then down 2 units, hence -2. All right. So that's letter A. Letter B is straightforward. So in letter B, there's no issue there. So remember, this is your vertex. So in letter B, you have -3 times x minus 4 squared plus 5. So that's easy, because right away you know that this is h and this is k. So your vertex is 4, 5. All right. And then letter C, you have h of x is 2/3 times x plus 5 squared plus 3. So again, think of transformations. So when you talk about transformations, this function takes x squared, shifts it to the left 5 units, hence -5, right? -5, and then up 3 units, hence +3. So when you write it to make it look like this form right here, you would say h of x is equal to 2/3 times x minus a -5 squared plus 3. So there's your h, and there's your k. All right, so hence -5, +3. And remember right here, so remember when you had this kind in transformations a while back, this says you would take the parent function x squared and shift it to the right 4 units and then up 5. And so notice 4, 5. Okay? All right, so the answers for number 2 then would be, let's see, -3, -2, 4, 5, and -5, 3. All right. Now let's talk about number 3. So number 3, we have this in number 3. So we go ahead and write down that function. So this is 3. And the function is this for number 3. It is h of x is equal to 2x squared minus 4x plus 5. And so you want to find the vertex. So notice it's in general form, right? It's in general form, and so you just use the vertex formula. So the vertex formula, remember, is negative b divided by 2a, and to find the y coordinate, you're going to find h of this. So it'll be h of negative b divided by 2a. So let's find the x coordinate of the vertex. So the x coordinate of the vertex is negative b divided by 2a. Remember, a is a coefficient of x squared, so a is 2, and b is a coefficient of x, so that's negative 4. So we're going to substitute in there. So I get the opposite of negative 4, which is positive 4, divided by 2 times 2, which is 4. So I get my x coordinate to be 1. The y coordinate, to find the y coordinate, I'm going to take x coordinate, so the x value substituted into the function in place of x. So basically you're saying you're going to find h of 1. And so then this becomes 2 times 1 squared minus 4 times 1 plus 5. Well, 1 squared is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. So you get 2 minus 4 plus 5. 2 minus 4 is a negative 2. And a negative 2 plus 5 is a positive 3. So the vertex is 1, 3. Right? So that's this one right here. So 1, 3. Okay? Now, in letter B, it says, does the function open up or open down? Well, remember, A is 2, so A is positive. So since A is positive, it's going to open up. Okay? And then it says use parts A and B to find the range. All right, so this is the way you would talk about the range. So this was part A right here. We've already answered part B. Since A is positive, it's going to open up. Now remember C. So in previous lessons, we indicated that to find the range, it's a good idea to, in your mind, know what the graph looks like. So that you know that parabola opens up, right? So it opens up. You know that this is the vertex right here. So 1, 3. And draw your arrows, and you want to find the range. Well, the range, remember, is a set of y coordinates. So as I move up, if you saw a y-axis anywhere, if you were to move along the y-axis going up, this minimum point, this lowest point right here, will give you the smallest y value. So you're going from 3 all the way to infinity. So the range will be bracket 3 to infinity. That's your range. So bracket 3 to infinity. So it's always the y coordinate of your vertex that you're going to use for part of your range. Now, does h of x have a maximum minimum? Well, we just talked about that. Maximum minimum value. We just talked about that. So this is a minimum point, right? So that's a minimum point. Minimum point. So it's going to have a minimum value. Minimum value. Now remember, when we talk about value, and if they ask you what that value is, and that's the y coordinate. But be careful, letter E is not asking that. It says at what value of x does this value occur. So they're asking for this x coordinate right here. So you would say that the minimum value of 3 occurs when x is 1. So remember, the minimum value of 3 occurs when x equals 1, and that's what you want here, when x is 1. So you have to put 1 in that blank. Okay? All right, so that is the key to topic 21, part C, worksheet 2.